Round up.
Hello. Good to have you back, Harry. How's your
Yeah,
holiday?
yeah, very good, mate. Thank you. Much needed.
Good. Yeah, I bet. Well,
Yeah,
you went away for a good week with that devastating loss to Liverpool, didn't you? I'm not sure either of us could speak afterwards.
yeah. I mean, that was horrendous, wasn't it? I was, yeah, not in a good way after that game.
Well, after such a poor game, how did you feel about, I guess, the comeback and the fact it was against Southampton?
Um, yeah, pleased we got third goal in the end. I mean, the we started well first 5 minutes, but then the next half hour was quite difficult to watch. I thought um, Cobby and Ericsson in central midfield didn't really work. I think Cobby was getting he's not really a six and Ericsson's not really an eight. So you kind of had a situation where Ericsson wasn't offering an awful lot in defence. Cobby was trying to do it all on his own and was kind of getting a bit swamped. And even when the ball was going into him, he was struggling a bit getting dispossessed.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean the big turning point was the penalty save, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah,
Anana had that good save earlier on after about 5 minutes, which was important. But that kind of that chance spurred Southampton on, and they took control of the game for the next half an hour from that point. But then, yeah, the penalty save just kind of turned things around, and then obviously De Ligt with the first goal was very pleased with, and yeah, hopefully a bit of the unfounded criticism will stop for him after that man of the match performance, and yeah, kicked on, got 3 goals. I felt like in the second half we could have been a bit more ruthless.
yeah,
I think we kind of didn't really get out of second or third gear for most of the second half, and those are games that I just feel like for the last year or so we've got in this position where we're 2 goals up and the opposition's there for the taking, and we've tippy tapped it around, and then we find ourselves conceding a goal with 15 minutes to go, and all of a sudden you're under pressure. The opposition have the momentum, and that's when we've conceded late goals to draw games that we should be winning. So it's yeah, glad we got the third goal in the end. I'd like to see us be a bit more ruthless, but 3 goals, clean sheet, Rashford scoring, De Ligt man of the match, and Arna with a couple of big saves. I think it ticks all the boxes, doesn't it? Really?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a chalk and cheese performance against Liverpool, but I think for me, that shows how wrong Eric actually got it against Liverpool. I noticed straight away, actually, he had, I think, changed a bit more than he kind of alluded to, because I thought we looked way more compact. And
Yeah,
actually, yeah, Mainu and Ericsson, it's interesting you picked up a notice straight away, because I actually thought Ericsson wasn't that bad in the first half at all. I thought
I th- I thought he was very good in possession.
yeah, well, he made that. He got the ball right in the penalty box and started to play going forward in the first half as well. He was
Yeah,
popping up all over the place. I didn't think he was bad. You know, is
no,
he someone you can play there every week? Probably not. Mainu, I actually thought was one of. I actually thought he was decent, and I thought Southampton are all over him. But I'd argue that's one of the worst performances I've actually seen from him. And
yeah,
probably as a result of being played out of position. But I didn't think he was bad. All game, honestly, from the start, I was like, wow, De Ligt is just, and Martinez looks solid. And what a partnership that looks like it's becoming. But De Ligt, when he got man of the match, I was sitting there thinking, absolutely what I thought all game. His
yeah.
composure on the ball, the passes he was making, the positions he was popping up in.
And the
To
defensive
have him,
interventions, I thought were really
yeah,
excellent. He made 5 or 6 like really strong interventions.
yeah. It was just sometimes that cool. He would kind of wander back, the ball would come to him, and he would just pass it so cleanly, so composed to Anana, and then it would all start building again. And you just feel a bit stressed out when Maguire's in that position, and he's just such an upgrade on Maguire for what,
Yeah.
half the price that we've ended up paying so many years later. Maguire actually, when he came on, I thought was all right. Weirdly, I think Maguire's been one of the best players of the season. He's just not good enough to play at United for me. He's been consistently good at his own thing. But again, for the whole game, I was trying to decide whether Ahmad or De Ligt was my best player. And the more the game went on, the more I thought De Ligt, because Ahmad's clearly got a bit of a way to go, but I thought he was sublime. But for Rashford to start on the left over Garnacho, I thought was a crime. But then again, he did all right. And, would it be rather starting Ahmad or Garnacho at the moment? Probably Ahmad, because Garnacho's had a good run and let's not burn him out. So, and maybe that's what the manager's thinking. I couldn't get my head around that in the midfield, but actually looked all right, didn't it? It was
Yeah,
a
I
short
mean,
performance.
you said during the game that Ahmad and De Ligt were different level. I didn't feel like Ahmad was that sort of level. I thought he had a decent game. I technically got the assist for the Rashford goal, but that was all Rashford, really, wasn't it? But I mean, the thing for me with Ahmad is he looks exciting on the ball, and he'll take players on and beat them. He he struggles a little bit for the end product, I think, still, and he's still young. He's going to play more and more games. The thing we've got is we've got Rashford, we've got Garnacho, and we've got Ahmad. Especially if Rashford can continue scoring goals after that confidence boost today, then we've got three players for two positions that we can rotate and that we can still have options off the bench. I know he was going to bring Anthony on as well before he took De Ligt off instead. But I mean, if Anthony could have come on there and got a bit of confidence, then I think that could then put us in a really good position with the
Yeah,
wide players to. I mean, 7 games in 21 days or something. Like we're going to need to use our squad, and we need to get these players firing. Really, that's kind of the key thing. And I mean, if we've got competition, I mean, Rashford and Garnacho both scored today. Ahmad had a decent game. I think that's got to be a good thing. And if you've got debate about who should start because everyone's playing well, then I think that's a lot better position to be in than who should start because everyone's playing crap. So
it's a much better problem to have, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. I think we I think we look good. Like I, I'm quite liking the look of Xerxes, the way he gets involved in the link-up play. Now, I
Yeah.
think we saw a lot of him today getting on the ball and making the smart pass. And they've not necessarily been safe passes, but he seems to have really good vision and to be able to pick
Mm,
out where someone's going to be, which is something that I think Ahmad could learn a bit from him. I think a lot of Ahmad's work is quite sort of cutting in and giving himself the chance, or doesn't necessarily find the player when he looks for the player, whereas Xerxes was fairly consistently finding
mm.
the right passes and retaining position, but also putting players into positions where they can create a chance. And I think he had 3 or 4 shots on goal and had
Yeah.
3 of them saved by Ramsdale and one of them blocked. So he looked quite sharp with that and was unlucky not to score, I thought.
Yeah, just got it here. Hold on. So, oh no, it doesn't give. Let's try and just work this. Oh, here we go. I'm on the wrong bit. That's probably why. I was hoping to give you a breakdown. We've got dribbles. Here we go. So Xerxes made 3 dribbles. There we go. Hit 3 shots. Interestingly, on this, he's not rated in the top 5. It actually puts De Ligt, Anana, Rashford, and Diallo on the same score, but him ahead of it, which I would not do. I'd have those two the other way around. I guess you could give. It's actually given Onana an 8.4, which I think is a massive score. I'm not sure about that, but
Yeah.
it's interesting looking at this in every area. We did actually, have the better stats and look to dominate them. But it's funny you go straight into Xerxes, because that was two questions. I was going to say, look, what were your thoughts about Agate and obviously Xerxes, which two massive signings for Eric Ten Hag. Agate, I guess we kind of just got a bit of a taster. But Xerxes, I felt that this to me felt like his first proper game. Nerves are calm. Arguably should have done a bit better, but I guess for his age and his length of time in the Premier League, is that understandable?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I thought he did well to get his 3 chances and he got them all on target. Could he have slotted them away? I think he could have done, but Ramsdale made a couple of good saves, and then there was the good block from the one towards the end when he sent Ramsdale the wrong way. So it was I thought it was really interesting and exciting to watch him. Yes, he could have done a bit better. Yeah, he probably should have come away from that game with a goal, but I think it's positive. With regards to Ugarte, I know we only got to see about 15-20 minutes of him, but I thought it was really positive as well to see the way he played. I thought he got around the pitch well. I think he was in there making interceptions and closing fast on players when they were looking to break. He was pressing quite high up the pitch. And then on the ball, he didn't do anything flash, but I think it was the kind of consistency that we're looking to see from him, which was when he gets on the ball, he finds a simple pass to a player in space. And I think that's what we need from that position.
It's interesting you said it, because that was one of the first things I noticed, is he does press up a little bit higher, doesn't he? And actually, one thing I didn't enjoy about the game is I thought the pressing from the whole team was quite weak. Rashford, it's funny watching him, because I was really focused on him for a while, because I thought, you know what, we would absolutely criticise him on this chat, but he was actually all right. I thought it was a significant improvement from what we've seen, and he does seem to be moving in that direction now, actually, which is interesting. But when he's pressing, it's like this, it's just like, come on, this, when Mount was playing before he got that injury, it was against Brighton, wasn't it? Was it against Brighton?
Yeah.
That absolute desire, that pelting run to press up, and then everyone else goes, oh, and starts doing the exact same thing to press. Xerxes was kind of moving forward a little bit of desire, I'd say half desire. And then Rashford's kind of like, he's right up there and he's pressed him. And you think Rashford's got to be right on that guy. And he's kind of just jogging towards him. You're thinking, if you had pressed up against him there, you get the ball and you move on. And I just don't think Marcus Rashford sees it. No. I think he's thinking, oh, Xerxes pressed up to that guy. Oh, I should start running, at least running towards him a bit, like look line if I want it. Oh, have I lost you? Why does this keep happening to me?
Sorry, mate, lost you there. Don't know what happened.
Am I back? I don't know why this keeps happening to me. Actually, I must say, since our last, you've completely frozen my screen, but since our last video that cut out, which is a disaster, I actually have, the internet's got worse here, so I can't wait to move, but it's honestly awful. Anyway, what was I saying?
Just Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, I just don't think he gets it, and this is the thing, is I'm just thinking that's what we need you to be doing. If you're right up against, if Xerxes on his way, you press with him, and it's when that pass comes in, he's then on him, and he forces a mistake or he gets the ball. And Rashford, I don't think he's not even thinking that. You can see it in his face. So, look, I think if we can get over that hurdle, I did see him tracking back quite a few times, actually. There was times when he didn't.
The thing I felt with Rashford tracking back was it seemed like a token effort. You'd see kind of the close up on Delo trying to tackle whoever the opposition player was, and Rashford would be in the edge of the picture. He'd be 3 or 4 yards away. He wouldn't be there with Delo closing on the player and helping him out. He's kind of just making the token effort to be in the area. And with the pressing for him, it just seems like a token effort.
That's
It's
exactly it. Yeah.
as I don't quite understand the mentality. I can't bring myself to believe that Ten Hag's telling him to make a token effort at getting back or make a token effort at pressing. If Ten Hag's telling him to stay high up the pitch and he doesn't want him to press, then he's not going to press at all and he's not going to track back at all. But the fact that he's making a token effort, to me, makes it seem like Ten Hag wants him to track back and wants him to press, but he just isn't prepared to put the effort in. I mean,
It's
fitness
just
wise,
beyond me.
he's got to have the fitness. He didn't play in the Euros. He had a full pre-season. He's been posting on Instagram about how much fitness work and stuff he's been doing. It it just seems very odd. And I know he did score the goal today and it was a good goal, but I don't think he did an awful lot else. I thought he tried to
No.
dribble it a couple of times and didn't beat the player. Yeah.
It's what I can't get over here. These, because I've been having a look at a couple of different stat things. They where was it? Marcus Rashford 7.9, same as Ahmad. I mean, I think I felt like Ahmad was chalk and cheese above, and he's ahead of Fernandez at 7.8. So apparently he's beat him, which I mean, Fernandez is a different kettle of fish. And we obviously struggle without having him in there, but I just there's just something missing from his game, and I can't get my head around it because there are opportunities, and it's like he's thinking, "Oh, let me hold the ball before I shoot it." You know, Garnacho comes on, ball comes in, one times it in the back of the net,
Yeah.
and Fernandez and Rashford just don't seem to have that in their locker at all. But they almost like put in good enough performances that you hang on to them.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing with Bruno is you see the games when we're missing him at the end of last season, and
Mm.
it was a shit show. And I I think he had a poor first half of the season last season and played better in the second half. But he's not started this season particularly well. He's not. Maybe it's that he's being played in a more advanced position. He's being asked to um, press a lot more. I thought he was doing a lot of the pressing from the front
Mm.
today, and maybe that's just not his game. I think he wants to drop a little bit further back and get on the ball and find those players rather than being the player who's being found.
Yeah, yeah. It's how often. Do you know what I was thinking during the game? Do you know when we brought Bruno Fernandes? He was a dead ball specialist, penalties, free kicks. You know, he's this suave passer, right? He's always good at finding the man. You know, in a way, it's, I was going to say like Perlo, but this is exactly not what I thought he was like at all. You know, I was
But
watching all this stuff about
the
Rooney
the
over the
thing
weekend.
is, like you look at it, the last 2 or 3 seasons, how many penalties have we had? How many free kicks have we had around the box? He's not had those opportunities to show what
No,
he
I know,
does.
but when they do come, I'm just saying I know. So I've been watching all this stuff about Rooney at the weekend, right? Just watching it, and oh, I've got to remember that. Oh, what a ball that was! And you know what? When we first got him, he didn't even look at the goal. He just kicked it, and it was always a worldie on target. You know, the keeper had to save it, and so many times you will remember he didn't. But then he had to build other things into his game. You know, like learning to link up with players, and actually Rooney arguably could have been the best in almost any position on the field with the way he developed his game. But his passes always found people, whether it was a long ball, a short ball, you know, and it's something this United team just does not have. And actually, I do look at Fernandez and think, I don't see you doing anything you're a specialist at. Why we bought you? Free kicks, penalties. We did used to get a lot of them. We don't anymore because no one really fears us. So they're all over us, and then we're too quick to fall over because they're like, oh, you know, you know, breathed air in my direction. Um, or actually, we never get into that scenario because we're not taking on players. And basically, they run up, they almost stop, leg moving around, and then he kicks the ball at them. And actually, so many Man United players doing it. Like, why are we running, slowing down and doing it? And what was that guy? Was it dribbling? Dibbling?
Yeah.
The dibbling. I mean,
something like that.
And was it Brendan Diaz or something when he came from the side and they're right on their toes and he sweeps the ball past the lip, gets the ball in. Dibbling just makes that he keeps running and then makes an extra step trying to do the change of pace. It's like Man United players think, do you know what? When the ball comes to me, I need to make sure I have a touch before I do anything. Like, this is what's in their head. And when they're running at a play, they're thinking, do you know what? If I slow right down to stop, at least I can casually pass the ball back to someone. Like, that's the two things I feel like are going on in United players' heads. And that's why Ahmad, for me, was like second best player on the pitch, because he's constantly moving, trying to do something, trying to get the ball past, trying to create something. He's looking forward. Okay, he's not the finished article. That's why he was nowhere near De Ligt. But the two of them were on a different level. And they're effectively two new players this season. I know Ahmad was there last season, played in the final, but he really didn't play actually.
No,
I feel
he
like
played
it's
half a dozen
season.
games, didn't he? I think the big thing is confidence. I think we've got a lot of players, especially further up the field, who are low on confidence and are taking the extra touch because of that. And I think that's one of the reasons why we get a lot of offsides. You've got players trying to make runs for the first time ball, and then the player's taking an extra touch or a third touch when it should be 2 touches, or a fourth touch when it should be 3 touches. So by the time the ball gets passed, they're then offside. And I think there's a lot of that, and I do think Bruno and Rashford still have been struggling for form, and that's part of the reason why there's the extra touch and then the through ball's too late and then someone's offside. So I just don't. They need to win some games. They need to score some goals, and that confidence will come back. The passing will get slicker, and I do think Bruno just needs to drop in and play a little bit deeper when we've got the ball, and because I mean his skill set is scoring penalties, scoring free kicks, and making assists for the other players. And the assists, he's not going to make them when he's the one chasing the through ball. He's the one who needs to be playing the through ball to someone who's a good finisher, someone like a Højlund or a Rashford or a Garnacho, who can race onto the through ball and finish it off.
Yeah, well, Ahmed had that one coming down the right hand side, and you could just see he wanted to bring it back onto his left and have a go. And he's got to learn to take it with his right, like Anthony does. Like we always complained, was it last season before? He just needs to start having a go at it, not thinking, oh, I need to get up my left. Just go. Let's see what happens. Work the keeper, at least get a corner. Because actually, do you know what I couldn't believe, which blew me away, is I thought our set pieces were the best of I can't remember since when. I can't remember in the last
Beckham,
few years.
probably.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, God, that's worrying to hear. But and then who was the other one? So I was going to say, and then Fernandez. Ironically, it comes across. Was it from Ahmad? The when he's way open, and you think one time hit it in your left foot, and he's thinking, and he does, and he's trying to get on his right foot, and it's obviously. I just think with Man United, like whatever it is just an absolute mentality thing, because I believe the quality is there. I look at that team now, and actually, we've had some good players over the years. Banter aside, we get loads of banter from people. Oh, your team's rubbish, and I do think a lot of them, have needed to go, and it's been nice to see this summer. But I still look at it, and it's the mentality in that team that's the issue, because actually I think we now have one of the best teams we've had in ages. I think we actually, and the big thing is it's not loads of just good players. We actually have a team of players that can play a certain style of football together, and a bit of depth around that. Like Maguire, when he stepped in again, I thought he was good. Evans shouldn't really be coming on the pitch for me, but Martinez had
he
to
did
come
all right
on.
at left back, didn't he?
He did all right. It's like, what am I watching? What am I watching?
But I mean, that's a concern though, because as you said, Maguire coming on, Evans coming on, we seem to pick up 4 defensive injuries. I know De Ligt said afterwards that his was just a bit of cramp, so he's okay.
Yeah,
But
that's a lack of game time. That is.
Mazraoui didn't look good. I saw him getting up off the bench after the game, and he looked like he was struggling, which could be a serious problem. Martinez, hopefully it's just precautionary and he'll be fine. But yeah, then Maguire looked pretty bad. Looked like he'd done his groin or something. So it's
my concern. As well, I mean, the fullback situation is an obvious concern. I mean, that's one of the most concerning areas. But I think you lose Martinez, and our chances of being anywhere near the top 4 are gone. And you saw that last season. There are obviously a few reasons, but I think one of the main reasons is no Martinez. Every time he played last season, we're amazing. Same with when we got Luke Shaw back. That's clearly the problem area. I mean, De Ligt and Maguire would be a concern. I think they're both good players, but they're really a very similar profile of player for me. I would be nervous. Maguire's he is a deeper lying, less cool on the ball. De Ligt for me, like De Ligt's just better in every category. But then maybe De Ligt, I probably would after Tate's performance back him to do that Martinez job, but Martinez is always pushing forward a little bit, as I feel like De Ligt is that guy you partner with. Your Martinez is clearly more comfortable to move forward than when he was with Maguire, because De Ligt has got it covered. And I think that's different. But is De Ligt then going to come in and do that role? So that's potentially season ending. Delot actually I thought was incredible at left back. Couple mistakes, obviously a big one leading to the penalty. Not sure what he's thinking about doing there. I think I'm just going to chalk that up to an early season.
I thought he struggled against that young right winger, that Dibdin or whatever his name was.
Dibbling, yeah.
Because so he had the one where he cut inside Delot and shot that Onana saved, and then there was the penalty, obviously. But after that, I thought Delot did well. I just think he's so much better at right back. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think he's played well at left back, but he's clearly been uncomfortable and he's not been his best self for me. I think you can bear in mind that he's playing out of position when you're saying how good his performances have been. But I think if you have a similar standard player who's an actual left back, then you clearly got a better player there.
Yes, Dibbling was rated their second best player in the team out of interest. And what was he? Tyler Dibbling. He's 17. Weirdly, I can't see him on this one up here, which is beyond me.
Who was their best player? Was it Ramsdale?
It was Sugawara.
Was he the right back?
No, I guess he was. He was like a right. He was right wing back or something, wasn't he? They were playing like a 3-4-3, so he was almost like a right midfielder that was dropping back though and going forward. I didn't quite work out exactly what he was doing there. I can't even say his name apparently, but interestingly here, looking at this one, rated Delot actually is the highest, then Diallo, which is beyond me as well, because I don't know how De Ligt's got there. I don't know how this one works, but I think Delot looks good. But then what? If Mazraoui is injured, surely Amas has to come in. Delot goes back to right back, and I would say Mazraoui for me looks better in right back than left back, but it's very small margins. I'm pretty sure they crossed actually and swapped sides at one stage and then went back.
I think it was just after a corner, Mazraoui found himself on the left side and went up there, and Delot filled opposite
Is that what
position.
happens? Yeah,
Yeah.
because I suddenly thought, oh, what's going on here? I wondered if that was tactical, but maybe you're right.
I
And
saw him pop
actually,
up there.
again, I thought it was tactical, but I did notice Rashford moved over to the right a couple of times to link up with Ahmad, which created an overload on that side that kind of shocked him. And it was just around when things were changing. And I wondered whether that was tactical or actually that was Rashford trying something different and it worked. I thought there was some interesting things. I mean, bottom line though, I don't think the world was really set alight enough to, it was a good bounce back from Liverpool. And Southampton, you could argue, have been unlucky this season. We were just looking at the stats just before we were loading up, weren't we? And they are statistically, over a longer period of time, a much better possession-based team. I thought in possession, they looked way more dangerous. They obviously came out the blocks quicker. These little one-touch, intricate passes they're doing, and then it gets to us, and it's like this slow moving the ball around.
I
You're
mean,
thinking, oh my God,
I
we're going to lose to Southampton.
I was seriously concerned up until that penalty save because they looked miles ahead of us. They were looking really strong, but I think that's the thing. Like they've lost their first three games. They've had a lot of possession and not been able to convert it. They're a newly promoted side, and you get something like the missed penalty come up against them, and then the counter punch of De Ligt scoring, and it just, I mean,
It
it
knocked their
clearly just,
confidence a bit, didn't it?
yeah. And apparently, after the rebound from the penalty, they didn't have a single shot on goal after that point. Like we just completely dominated the rest of the game, and they couldn't seem to get back into it. I think.
No, they couldn't. And I think the bottom line, sorry, is it came down to a lack of quality from them. He had to score. He scores that penalty. It's a different game. The pressure's really on Man United, and
Yeah,
then actually quality for us came through. But yeah, I think it was concerning because I mean, in every area of stats, United are the better team and should have done better. And I think we don't get me wrong. I think we did well, and I'm really positive about it. I think or I could see that we were way more compact. I think, Eric Ten Hag, whether he's done that on purpose or not, I mean, surely he's thought, right, I've got to tighten things up a little bit. And he didn't leave Ericsson or Maino to be overly exposed in the midfield. Maybe that's because he was worried about it and we were more compact. But there was definitely progress made in the team, but I think bottom line for me is there's still a
yeah,
long way to go. I think we're still against Liverpool, yeah, look, it's maybe 1-0 rather than 3-0, but I still think it's a nil in front of it because I don't
yeah.
think Rashford's goal goes in against Liverpool. I think that was a mistake from them defensively, and Rashford was lucky, and then from there he actually did do some really good shots. Maybe Xerxes does score, but he had the same problem against Liverpool. He's just not quite finding the back of the net.
Yeah.
And who's the other one? I mean, Garnacho probably does still score. He's moved forward, but I think that De Ligt goal doesn't happen actually as well because at set pieces they were much stronger. Maybe it does. Maybe that's the excitement of seeing him coming through. But yeah, still some worrying signs. I don't think it's a papering over the crack situation, Harry.
No,
I would not say that. I think it's a clear improvement, progress in the right direction. We get Agate in. I still think you start Garnacho for me on the left. But maybe he sticks with Rashford now he's scored to see if he can kick on. But actually, do you know what? I do wonder whether Agate and Ericsson could be an option in midfield just because I think Mainu, I would like to see him not overly played because I think he's going to be a key player for us. If Ericsson's had a good game, is he worth the follow-up? I thought his passing was incredible, and next to Agate could be exciting. And I'd like to see a bit more of Collier. So, there's lots of promise, isn't there? Just not there.
I was watching that game and it got to 70 minutes and I was like, get Cobby off, give him a rest. I mean, we've got such a talent there,
Yeah,
and I just feel like we're going to burn him out at this rate.
yeah.
There's so much on him. Yeah, I want to
He's
see him given a
struggling a little
rest.
bit, you could say, but I think he was targeted in the midfield.
Yeah,
Secondly, because in the first half, like there was one stage, one guy literally just ran into him, and then there's another one, they're pulling his shirt all the time and they're getting really physical with him. But I think you're right. So I'd like to see him rested, but you know, I think Collier would have done. I get he doesn't want to bring him in the team, and that's why Mainu's going in and doing that role. But I think Collier was the man to play alongside Ericsson. I
yeah,
probably would have subbed Ericsson off a bit sooner and brought in Mainu. I think
yeah.
that would have been a different and injected a bit of energy there and a little bit more quality.
Yeah, because you
Poacher,
look at it, Mainu is a guy who can come and make an impact off the bench as well.
yeah,
I don't think he's someone who has to start every game. And to be honest, at his age, I don't want to see him starting more than 30 to 35 games in the season. If he needs to come off the bench for another 5 or 10, then great. But I don't want to see him racking up 50 starts because he's going to burn out and he's going to not he's going to get injured and he's not going to reach his potential. So I think that's someone that Ten Hag needs to seriously manage there.
yeah. I'm quite excited about the prospect of Casemiro and Agati in the midfield as well. I think looking at what Ericsson was doing, I think Casemiro can do that and offers a little bit more defensively. So,
Yeah, definitely.
actually, that could be a really exciting pairing. And I think Ten Hag will never do it. But again, Martinez going into that midfield would offer that same kind of thing as well.
Yeah,
We can't have Martinez not playing as a centre back, so it won't happen. But,
yeah. I
there
thought
are
it was.
options.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when Casemiro came on at centre back. Obviously, they were down to 10 men at that point and they weren't pressing at all. So he had a lot of space, but he was moving forward and he was finding passes. Like he found the
Yeah,
ball through to Dello for the Garnacho goal. He put a couple of crosses in to the right areas. I think if you can get him on the ball in the final third, he's someone who can create things. And if you've got
yeah.
Ugarte there next to him, then between them they can cover the ground and make any interceptions or press and crowd out the opposition and when there's a turnover.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was just thinking then when we were talking about it. So we've just been talking about how he's got to be resting Garnacho with all the games he played last year, and Rashford is supposed to be the senior left winger, so that must be one of the other reason whys, and he's trying to play him to form. But then you're starting Mainu all the time.
Yeah,
They're very like that. There's got to be something more going on. I can't work it out. I do want to see a midfield. To be honest with you, if we could, I'd play Mainu all the time, but don't want to be burning him out. And I Ten Hag seems to confuse me in some ways with his decision making on these sort of things. Because so we've now got 6 points out of a possible 12,
yeah,
right? Which, okay, I don't see a scenario where we were ever beating Liverpool. So,
yeah,
you know, Brighton, we arguably should have won that game. But, I remember thinking at the time, I would have been disappointed. Oh, Erling Haaland's just bagged a goal. Of course he has. Brilliant. Um, did he get the first goal? Hold on, so I need to see that. Oh, mate, he's got 2 goals already. So need to go back to watching the football. Thank God they
yeah.
just brought him into my fantasy football team this week.
You did.
Yeah, boy. You just jumped ahead of me, so it's like, no, I'm not having that. I'm not having that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't get my head around the decision making, and I'm sure I know it's really difficult. I still believe Ten Hag's the man, but he has made some changes in this game which are positive. But I guess we're going to see, aren't we? I think one of the last things, I don't know if you had anything else in your list you wanted to go for today, but
yeah.
I
Well,
so
you go first, and
just something outside of the game I wanted to bring up, which is interesting. And I think the reason I wanted to get into it was because, with reflection on the game, I mean, with the whole situation with Mount, is Angel, was it Gomes?
Angel Gomez, yeah.
Gomez, sorry, Gomez. I always thought it was Angel Gomez, but
And so
apparently
did
it is
I
actually
actually, yeah.
Angel.
Yeah.
Someone was saying the other day, they're like, "Oh, Angel, just this, that, and the other," and I was thinking, "Oh, I thought it was Angel." But anyway, you've seen all the talk around him? Apparently, he could be on his way back to United.
Yeah, so he's out of contract at the end of the season. And he's basically done an interview where he said he'd be open to coming back. It's home to
Yeah,
him and whatever. I mean, for me, I did see the game on the England game on Tuesday, and he looked decent. But I mean, we're judging whether a guy should come back to United on one performance. Like, how many people have seen him play for Lille in the French league? I mean, clearly he's done all right because he's got selected for England. But I'd like to see a lot more of him before I say really keen to get him back or whatever.
no, I'm just saying now. I'm not one of these guys who are like, yeah, I've seen all his games. Oh, he's been doing this. I really loosely followed him because I think he was a big loss when he went. I know why he wanted to go. Fernandez was clearly going to be our guy. He wanted to be starting. And last I really remember it was he was really struggling in the French league. And then I saw some news about him a while back. And I read a bit about it. I watched a little bit of footage. That's the kind of level we're at. And he's obviously had a big turnaround and then come into this season doing the
I,
same thing, which has got him recognised by England because he's clearly a player that's starting to show a bit of promise. Was at United for a long time. Just be interesting to see how things evolve this season with
yeah, I think
with Fernandez and him kind of floating around the edges, being like, "I'd like to come back." Because
I think when he was coming through for us, I saw him play a few games in like the Carabao Cup or whatever, and he was playing as a number 10 or a wide player
yeah,
on the left
yeah,
hand side, I think. But my understanding is that he's kind of changed his game and dropped into more of the 6 or 8 position, and that's where he's been playing for Lille and doing really well. So I wouldn't necessarily say that he's going to be a Fernandez replacement as such. And I think it'll be interesting to see what they do in terms of if they do decide to bring him back. Obviously, in the deeper positions, we've got Ugarte, we've got Mainu, we've got Collier, we've got Kone coming through. You've got Mount who can play as an 8. So I think you've got a lot of players in those positions. So is there really is there necessarily that position for him there?
Fernandez is not going anywhere, but you know,
No.
Gomez could clearly still play number 10 as well. Right. I think what I'm saying is he's versatile. That's why I brought him Mount. Mount was clearly supposed to be an 8 and a 10 for
Yeah.
Ten Hag's midfield. Mount's out all season. That's just worst case scenario. Then he's got to go. And like, is Gomez someone that you look to bring in? I think yes. I mean, I didn't think it was a 6, so it'd be interesting to see if he. You might be right. Like I said, I don't know a lot about it. I was looking at him thinking 8 and 10. Again, Mainu could probably do 8 and 10, right? That's locked down. You then have Collier and Ugarte, and Casemiro, effectively that are what? Let's call them 8 and 6s. That feels like a more balanced midfield. If Casemiro was to go, then you're definitely looking at getting someone that's a more senior deeper lying midfielder, maybe someone that's a bit more of a playmaker. I know
Yeah.
Barcelona are dying to get De Jong over to us. I mean, I never think that's going to happen, but would you swap De Jong for Casemiro? Yeah, probably. Have Collier and
Yeah.
Ugarte as the number 6s.
1,000,000%.
I think these are the things that we're obviously thinking about now. And I just wondered what you thought about it. That's interesting because
Yeah. Well,
I think I'm looking at someone there that I would bring back.
the other news that's been talked about this week was we've been linked again free transfer for Rabiot, who would be able to bring in straight away. And apparently he's moderated his wage demands. So
I've
it's
missed
what,
this.
yeah. So apparently Rabiot's lowered his wage demands, really wants to go to the Premiership. And I think we've been linked with looking at him, and so have Liverpool and Arsenal.
I thought it was
So
Aston Villa as well, wasn't it? Something, is that right?
maybe not 100%
I mean,
on that.
I tell you now, I'd bring him in.
For the right money. I
100%.
mean, looking at the signing on fee, if it's going to be ridiculous, then no. Looking at the wages, I think if you can get him for around 150k on a 3-year deal, then that's probably one that you think about doing.
I'd
He's
only
got a
do it
lot.
with a low sign-on fee. I'd say, listen, if you want to come pay for United, yeah, we'll chuck you a little bit of cash because you're free transfer. I'm thinking like 10 million. I bet he's going to want like 60 or something ridiculous. Be like, no, I'll give you 10
Apparently,
million,
apparently he
150k.
wants 11 million signing on fee.
Oh, okay. I think that's relatively acceptable.
Yeah.
I'd do a sign of 11 million. That'd be fine. But then you're right. If it's like 150k a week, 3-year deal, then fine. You know, let's be honest about it. What we're in now, 14th of September. So, look, if he joined Monday, I mean, he's not playing until some point of October at the earliest. It's probably more likely November.
Yeah, I'd say probably mid-October's likely. I mean, he's not been injured or
I'd say
anything.
possible. Possible, not likely. Likely is like November. Definitely is late November, right? You know, I think 4 weeks. I mean, think about it this way: he's had no preseason, right? He's not done anything for ages, has he? Right? He's basically been chilling on a yacht. He's going to need to get his match. I mean, I must say, if he came into the team within 4 weeks, I see him being a fan favourite because you think you've just in 4 weeks got your fitness, got your max sharpness, and pushed your way into that United team. So that'd be incredible.
Yeah.
You know, is he that player? I don't know. That's why I wouldn't pay him more than 150 grand a week.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think you can do it 3-year deal, 150 grand a week. I'd say less than 10 million sign-on fee. And yeah, the only other thing is he's got to understand that he's a rotation option. He's not going to play week in, week out. If he's going to be throwing his toys out of the pram because he's not playing week in, week out, you know, we can't jeopardize Mainoo's development and Collier's development to have him play every week. I think. But I mean,
the best stuff to play. You know, it's funny how we're talking about, Rashford needs to come in, Garnacho's doing that. And this is what I can't understand with Ten Hag. And I get there's an element of working with players and their fitness and bringing them up to max sharpness. But, you know, Sir Alex, if you were the best and you were the right player to play, you played, regardless. And he got it right, didn't he?
The second point you made there, if you're the right player to play in this game, I mean, Sir Alex always rotated and he selected teams specifically depending on the opposition. Number of times we'd be playing Arsenal, you'd see Park Ji-sung and Darren Fletcher in the side. You're like, we want to see skulls and gigs. Like, what's going on? But they were selected because they delivered something. What's that?
Yeah, what was that game when he put Phil Jones in the midfield and it worked? And I was like,
well, I remember Champions League semi-final. I think it was 2008 away at Arsenal, or quarter-final away at Arsenal. He selected Fabio on the left wing, Raphael on the right wing, and John O'Shea in centre midfield with Scholes, I think. And then obviously had the usual back four, and we kept a clean sheet. Came away from that game 0-0 and won the leg at Old Trafford. So it's I think what we probably don't see enough of from Ten Hag is rotating and selecting a team with a definite game plan based on who the opposition are. I think he did that for the cup final against City, but he doesn't do it in the league enough. I mean, maybe we saw that today. Maybe we saw that today. Maybe that's why he played Eriksen. He thought, okay, Southampton like to have the ball. Let's get a real ball player in midfield and monopolise the ball ourselves and give ourselves the best opportunity to win that way. I thought I
No.
was incredibly surprised when I saw Ericsson's name on the team sheet, but
Well, Ericsson dot 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 was what you were thinking, wasn't
yeah,
it? I must say, I was thinking the exact same thing when I saw it. Your message comes through, and I'm thinking that's exactly what I'm thinking. But actually, I thought it worked. You know, I was surprised. Um, you said it earlier. He definitely lacked a bit defensively, but then again, he also popped up and made some key saves or stops, sorry, I should say, and interceptions, and then got the ball going forward quite quickly, which I think's a big problem with United. So often, someone in that position either kicks it to nowhere or kicks it back to the other team, and he was kicking it to another player, and then we were moving
I
forward.
thought his forward passing was very sharp, and especially when
Very
he got
sharp.
into the opposition half, he was finding some really good balls that, I mean, Bruno wasn't finding. So,
Yeah,
I mean, for me, I've always thought Ericsson was a 10, and I mean, with Mount injured, he is someone who can play that position and give Bruno a bit of a break. Like I've said it before, I don't want us to be reaching an FA Cup final and Bruno's already played 65 games in that season. I want to see him get a bit of a break. I think last season, first half of the season, he was jaded and he was out of form because he played every single game the previous season. And I think we need to look after our players a bit more. And just because a player is always fit doesn't mean that they have to play every single game.
no, I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree. All right, was there something else you wanted to cover? Otherwise, I'm ready for some second half of football.
Yeah, yeah. I was the only other thing I was just going to say was tactically what I did notice um, in the game. What we've seen so far this season has been this kind of fullbacks bombing forwards, the front four playing really advanced,
Yeah,
and then Casemiro dropping between the two centre backs and Mainu being on his own in midfield. It's kind of like 3-1-6 formation. I thought we didn't see that at all today, and I was
no,
quite happy not to see that.
no, and that's what I was saying to you earlier. And we looked so much more compact. It actually reminded me of a little bit more of a Sir Alex Ferguson team. Actually,
Yeah.
it looked compact. It looked organised. You know, whatever he's been trying, it reminds me of his first season. Do you remember he's trying to get them to play this Ten Hag Ajax ball? And then he realised a couple of games in, he's like, "Yeah, these guys are not going to do that." And it was the Brentford loss from memories. Was that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We got
the
battered
4-0.
by Brentford, potentially at Brentford, I think it was. And
Yeah,
then you're thinking, oh my God, worried. And then we went on to be what? Well, third in the league. You know, we were easily third best team. Martinez was the guy holding team together. David De Gea was stopping all those important saves that were probably an easy 10, 15 points for us that season. And I just wonder whether we've now just hit the same stage of this season. You know, is Ten Hag like, all right, this isn't going to work now. I've got to do something else. And you're thinking,
yeah.
painful to watch up to now, but potentially positive. You know, something we can build on.
Hopefully. Well, what's the next game? I think it's Palace away, isn't it?
It is. I've actually just had it up here. Hold on. Fixtures. Oh, wrong week. Go to game week 5. I think it is Palace because we've got the later game. Yeah. So it's at Palace in London. It's on Sky Sports at 5:30. Let's go.
Okay. And we've got Carabao Cup midweek this week as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we'll have to get on. And I think actually the next Saturday's a good time. We need to get our first guest on. It'd be nice
Yeah,
getting someone on here to. We'll have a chat about that offline.
let's
But
do it.
yeah, no, exciting time. So we'll do a midweek one. Um, please do like, comment, and subscribe if you don't think our chat's too boring. Particularly Harry's, you know.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, no, we'll do a midweek one, and I think next weekend we'll look to get our first guest on, and hopefully we'll see the tactics improving further, more positivity in the team, and more goals, eh?
Yeah. Fingers crossed, no significant injuries. But
Oh,
yeah.
don't get me
Well,
nervous.
yeah. Thanks for watching, and yeah, see you next week. Uh,